All right, it's Monday, April 11th, so Parker's going to go over the games of Sunday, April 10th. Without further ado, Parker Coleman, take it away.
Hope everyone's doing well. I had a bit of a rough day at school today, but you know what always makes that better? Some baseball. And we're going to talk about 15 games, 15 very interesting games, say that every day, but baseball is always interesting. And a lot of teams got their first win today, so if there'll be a lot of fans happy that they're not going to go 0-162 this year. The only winless team I believe left is the Orioles, but I'm pretty sure they're beating the Brewers 2-0 right now. But we're going to start off with the Phillies Athletics. And the Athletics were able to salvage a game here. They get their first win on the season as Dalton Jeffries goes 5 scoreless innings, giving up 2 hits. And that's about it. He did really good. The A's made it somewhat close. They weren't able to score until the 6th as Andrews would double and a Seth Brown single to make it 1-0. Billy McKinney, now a A, hits a solo shot, making it 2-0. In the top of the 9th, some insurance runs were added on as Austin Allen was hit. Christian Pache, new acquisition, would double. Tony Kemp would single to score them both. In the bottom of the 9th, insurance runs seem to be pretty important because Segura would hit a solo shot, which a 2-1 game has a lot less pressure than a 4-1 game. But 4-1 is the final score. The A's win over the Phillies. Jeffries was the first star. He absolutely shut down the Phillies' loaded offense. 5 innings, 2 hits, 2 strikeouts, 2 walks. Tony Kemp was 3 for 5 and 2 RBIs, and Seth Brown was 1 for 4 with an RBI. Now we go to the aforementioned Orioles, going up against the Tampa Bay Rays. Yandy Diaz and Josh Lowe, my sign is working out pretty well, would walk. Ramirez would single to load the bases. A sac fly by Zunino would make it 1-0. Margot would ground out, scoring Lowe. And then Lau would homer, scoring Ramirez, making it 4-0. In the bottom of the 7th, 4 more runs would be added on as after Margot and Lau single, Franco would single, scoring them both. Choi would double, scoring Franco, and Ramirez would single, scoring Choi. There's no offense in sight for the Orioles. This game they would lose 8-0. Corey Kluber went 4 2/3 of scoreless, 3-hit, 5 strikeout baseball. Franco was 3 for 4, 2 RBIs and a double. Lau was 2 for 5 with a home run and 2 RBIs. No runs, 6 hits, no errors for the Orioles. 8 runs, 11 hits, no errors for the Rays. White Sox Tigers. Despite this new and talented Tigers team, it looks like the White Sox are still a better team, at least for now. They scored in the first inning again as Anderson would double. Luis Robert would single. Abreu would ground out to score Anderson. Jimenez sac fly would make it 2-0. And the bottom of the 2nd, Cabrera would walk and Victor Reyes would triple, cutting the lead in half, making it 2-1. There would be all White Sox after that. And the top of the 3rd, Tim Anderson would double and would be scored by Abreu. I don't know how I did it, but I have such bad handwriting that an A looked like an X. But there's no one named Xbreu. Abreu would get the RBI, not Xbreu. Jimenez would walk, and then Harrison would smack a single, making it 4-1. McGuire would reach on an error. He's a new White Sox now, and Zach Collins got traded to the Blue Jays. I didn't end up mentioning that, but it did happen it did happen after my previews were out. But yeah, Reese McGuire playing his first game as a White Sox. Pretty solid offensive catcher that they added. He would reach on an error. Danny Mendick would double, scoring him. Abreu would walk. Anderson would double. Jimenez would single, scoring Anderson. Then Vaughn would home, making it 9-1. Andrew Vaughn gets 1 more RBI in the 9th as Abreu singles is scored by Vaughn single after being moved over. White Sox win 10-1, a big blowout. Anderson went 3 for 5 with 2 doubles. I had him as the first star. Abreu was 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a double. He was the 2nd star. Jimenez was 1 for 3 with an RBI and a sac fly. He was the 3rd star. 10 runs, 12 hits, no errors for the White Sox. 1 run, 2 hits, 2 errors for the Tigers. The Cincinnati Reds versus the Atlanta Braves. One of the more surprising results from this weekend, as the Reds are able to split the season series with the Braves. Hunter Green makes his debut. And in the top of the 3rd, Jonathan Indy would walk. Tyler Naquin would double, scoring him. Votto and Stevenson would both walk. That would load the bases. Nick Senzel's fielder's choice would score another. Moran would single, scoring Votto. Lastly, Farmer would single, scoring 2. So a 5-run inning for the Reds. And as we discussed in the first Dodgers-Rockies game, a good way to win games is crooked innings. In the bottom of the 4th, after Olsen singles, Riley would double, and Olsen would score on a sac fly from Marcell Ozuna, who's had a really solid series. First series back since May. At the top of the 5th, Stevenson would homer to make it 6-1 Reds. A pretty, I guess I would say it was a useful home run. I mean, without that home run, they would still win by score. But again, I think a 5-3 game is more intense than a 6-3 game because one runner gets on, the time runs at the plate. D'Arnaud and Olsen would both homer in the bottom of the 5th. The scoring ended off after that. The Reds would win 6-3. Farmer was 2-for-3 with an RBI and a double. Olsen was 3-for-4 with the RBI and a home run. Olsen, I think, had a better performance, but I pushed him down because the Braves lost, and Farmer, he had a very big hit that scored 2 and had to go from being 3-3 to 3-0 to 5-0. Hunter Green was the 3rd star. Very good outing for him. 5 innings, 4 hits, 3 runs. 6 runs, 7 hits, no errors for the Reds. 3 runs, 7 hits, no errors for the Braves. Mets Nationals. This one should be over pretty quick. Nelson Cruz had a pretty good game, spoiler alert, as he would homer to give the Nats a 1-0 lead. Lindor would homer in the 4th to tie it. After Escobar doubles and Smith walks, Canha would single, giving the Mets the lead. It would be 2-1. At the bottom of the 8th, Hernandez and Franco would single. Michael Franco, unfortunately not Wander Franco, would single to put runners on the corners. A bunt scores Strange Gordon. He pinch ran, and that was a pretty good choice because he runs pretty fast. After a couple of fielders' choices, Cruz would break through with a 2-run single, giving the Nats the 4-2 lead and eventually the win. Cruz was 2-for-4 with a home run, 3 RBIs. He was easily the first start hit, 3 of the 4 RBIs that the Nats had, and a leadoff home run is pretty good, and an RBI to basically win the game. That's basically like asking to be the first star. Carrasco was 5 2/3, 2 hits, 1 run, 5 strikeouts. He was pretty good, unfortunately. He didn't get the loss, but the Mets did. Eric Fed, he went 5 innings, 5 hits, 2 runs, 5 strikeouts, 2 walks. He was really solid too. And based off of how surprising that is, you could tell because I don't know how to pronounce his name. I think it's Fetty. 2 runs, 7 hits, 1 error for the Mets. 4 runs, 5 hits, no errors for the Nationals. Rangers Blue Jays. This was one of the more interesting games. So we talked about the 2 Blue Jays comebacks. The Rangers had a comeback of their own today. Springer would lead off the game with a home run. Both Hernandez and Gurriel would single, and Chapman would hit his first home run as a Blue Jay. It was a moonshot, and the Blue Jays would be up 4-0. Solak would homer in the 2nd. Jansen would homer in the 2nd as well. That'd make it 5-1. Vlad Guerrero Jr. would break his career high for how long a home run was. He hit 467. That put the Blue Jays up 6-1, but unfortunately for Toronto, it was all Texas after that. Mitch Garver would walk. Luis Garcia would replace him with a fielder's choice. Abanez was double scoring Garcia. 3 straight singles by Solak, Culberson, and Heim scored 2. Miller double scoring Culberson, and then a single by Corey Seager gives them the lead. In the top of the 5th, the Rangers add more on as Garcia and Solak walk. Nathaniel Lowe would single scoring Garcia. A Miller sac fly would score Solak. It's 9-6. In the 7th, the Rangers basically put it out of striking distance for the Twins as Solak walks, and he would score on a Jonah Heim homer. The next at bat, Brad Miller would come in. Well, he was already in, but he didn't start the game. Eli White got taken out early, so Clemson for Clemson there. But Brad Miller would homer. He had a really good game. The final score would be 12-6, and the aforementioned Miller was the first star despite coming off the bench. He was 2-for-3 with 4 RBIs, a home run, a sac fly, and a double. Very good night. I was 2-for-3 with 3 RBIs and a home run. Solak was 2-for-3 with a home run and an RBI. 12 runs, 11 hits, no errors for the Rangers. 6 runs, 10 hits, no errors for the Blue Jays. We have the Mariners and the Twins. The Twins are another team just like the Rangers, just like the A's, and maybe a few more. The Nats, those are the only ones I could think of that are getting their first win, or that got their first win yesterday. Buxton would lead up the game with a home run. Wouldn't be the last time he did that. Yesterday, Polanco and Urshela would single. Kirilloff would reach on an air, loading the bases, and Gary Sanchez hit a grand slam for his new team. He was a few feet away from hitting a walk-off home run on opening day, so he didn't get the ultimate welcome, I'm here sort of thing, but a grand slam and your first home run and opening weekend, that's not too bad either. Buxton would homer again in the second, making it 6-0. The Mariners made trouble for the Twins in the third as Crawford would double, Torrens would walk. Frazier single scoring Crawford, and then Haniger would homer, making it 6-4. Like I said, Mitch Haniger, one of the few guys on the Mariners that actually has some semblance of offense. He has been absolutely amazing for the Mariners in this opening weekend. Kepler would homer in the third, making it 7-4. Polanco would homer in the fourth, making it 8-4. Correa would homer in the sixth, making it 9-4. That was kind of nice. I could just see solo shot, solo shot, solo shot. I don't have to go into the play-by-play for what I missed and see how they scored. I could just see solo shot, solo shot, solo shot, solo shot, solo shot, and just write that down. That's easy. In the bottom of the seventh, Gary Sanchez got another RBI as he drove in Gio Urshela, teammates in New York, teammates in Minnesota. That would make it 10-4. Sanchez had a double. He was the first star, easily 2-4 home run, a double, 5 RBIs. Buxton was the second star. He went 2-5, 2 home runs, 2 RBIs. Mitch Haniger had a good night, a good day, even though his team lost and kind of deserves some recognition. 2-4, a double, and 3 RBIs. 4 runs, 7 hits, 1 error for the Mariners. 10 runs, 10 hits, no errors for the Twins. Guardians Royals, another team getting their first win, and by a landslide too. Stephen Kwan might be the best player in the MLB. Before today, he was batting .800, and he was the first rookie ever to reach. Well, today he got a bases clearing triple for the Royals game. We'll talk about that tomorrow. But he got and that made him the first rookie ever to reach on his first 4 games or for the Guardians. The article was very vague and very weirdly titled, but Stephen Kwan, he is a big guy that you want to focus on, and we're going to be focusing on him a lot today because he did a lot of stuff yesterday. Straw would walk and Kwan would single. Get used to this. Ramirez would single scoring Straw. Miller would single scoring Kwan. Oh, and Miller had a great game yesterday too. Clement would walk, and Oscar Mercado, of all people, would hit a grand slam. That would make it 6-0. And that was what we were talking about in the recap yesterday. In the top of the second, Kwan would single again, along with Straw, in reverse order. Ramirez would walk to load the bases. A single by Rosario would score 2. Then Owen Miller would double, scoring 2. 10-0, all of a sudden the Royals are probably thinking this game is pretty much over in the second inning. In the bottom of the third, the Royals were able to score a couple runs as Taylor and Lopez singled, and then Bobby Witt Jr. would drive them both in on a double, making it 10-2. Rosario would triple, Miller would single, Mercado would triple. It was 12-2. Kwan would single in the fifth again. Ramirez would double. I won't say again, but he was really good yesterday too. Basically, if you're a Guardian, you performed well yesterday. Rosario would single scoring Kwan. Would single. Yeah, he would single scoring Kwan. I had to do some weird note taking since I was running out of room. Kwan would be hit by a pitch in the 7th inning. Then Ramirez would homer, scoring him and himself. 3 straight singles by Reyes, Rosario, and Clement would score a run, making it 16-2. Brian Lavastida would walk. Straw would reach on a fielder's choice. You're getting kind of tired of the Guardians right now. And Rosario would single, scoring Straw. Finally, in the bottom of the 9th, the Royals got a pity run as Santana would double, Dozier would single, and then Ahern would reach on a fielder's choice. The Guardians won 17-3. Big offensive outburst. First real one of the year, if I can remember correctly. 17 runs, 22 hits, no errors, 3 runs, 7 hits. 17 runs, 22 hits, no errors for the Guardians. 3 runs, 7 hits, no errors for the Royals. Ramirez was the first star, as he had 3 RBIs, a double, a home run, a walk. He was through 4. Stephen Kwan with the first 5-hit game of the season. He had a double, and even though he didn't have a crazy power surge yesterday, he was very, very important to that Guardians to that Guardians offense. And Miller was really good yesterday. He was 3 for 6 with 4 RBIs and a double. So that was eventful. Fair warning: if you really love the 3 stars, you're gonna be disappointed here because I don't have enough time to write that down for Pittsburgh St. Louis. I will say who I think the best player was from that game, as somewhat of a consolation. Carlson would double in the bottom of the first to lead off. Goldschmidt would single. A sac fly by O'Neill would put the Cards on the board first. Arenado would homer, making it 3-0. In the top of the third, Perez, Hayes, and Reynolds would single to load the bases. Michael Chavis, there he is, the first star of the game, would hit a grand slam for the lead. This might be, no, it's not the first lead the Pirates have had, but it would be the first lead that they held on to. After that, Chavis home run. Castillo would single. Newman would drive him in on a double. Okay. In the top of the fourth, Perez would walk. Gamble would single. Hayes drives in Perez. Gamble later scores on a wild pitch. It's 7-3. Pirates are kind of running away with it here. In the top of the seventh, Castillo, who's been really solid for the Pirates, very quietly good for the Pirates so far. Can't say that a whole lot about the Pirates. They're either pretty good young guys like Brian Hayes, O'Neill Cruz, Brian Reynolds, or they're not good at all. So, well, actually, David Bednar, but still. After Newman walks, Marisna gets an RBI single. In the bottom of the seventh, Bader would double in the bottom of the seventh, Bader would double. Edmund singles, a sac fly by Carlson again, or not again, but another sac fly would score Bader. In the top of the eighth, Gamble doubles after Hayes flies out. Carlson makes a throwing error, which somehow allowed Gamble to score from second base. I mean, I'm pretty sure he's pretty fast, but we don't get a Pittsburgh channel here, so I really don't know what happened there. And there's another time I'm going to be able to say that later when the Dodgers and the Rockies play. But the Pirates won their first game of the season 9-4, 9 runs, 50 hits, no errors for the Pirates, 4 runs, 7 hits, 2 errors for the Cardinals. Like I said, I would give Chavis the first star. I did see Gamble's name quite a bit, but the Cardinals lose their first game to the Pirates. Brewers get their first win of the season as well. I'm telling you, there were a lot of teams getting their first win yesterday. Ortega would walk and then be caught stealing in the bottom of the first for the Cubs. VR would then walk, and Alfonso Rivas would single to set up Seiya Suzuki hitting his first career Major League home run, making it 3-0. But the Cubs celebrations would basically end there, as Adames would homer, getting the Brewers on the board. In the top of the sixth, Adames would walk. Yelich would single, scoring Adames. Tellez would then go on to homer, making it 4-3. The Cubs were able to tie it as Frisch would walk. Wisdom would reach on an error. 2 wild pitches from Cousins ties the game as they went from first, second, third, home, third. And then Yan Gomes strikes out, so they couldn't really capitalize. They couldn't really capitalize because Yan Gomes struck out. But that could kind of be seen as a bit of a mistake because Brasso would hit a solo shot at the top of the seventh, and the Brewers would win 5-4 with a 1-run game. Brasso was the first star. He was 1 for 1 with a home run RBI, big home run. Yelich was 1 for 3 with an RBI and a double. Seiya Suzuki was 1 for 3 with a home run, 3 RBIs and a walk. 5 runs, 5 hits, 1 error for the Brewers, 4 runs, 4 hits, no errors for the Cubs. Good first win for the Brewers. Man, did they need that one. The Dodgers and Rockies. I said when we get to the Dodgers and Rockies, I didn't realize they were the next game. This game was very sloppy, as in the bottom of the first, I keep on saying it's surprising that the Rockies score first, but they did it the first game, they did it the second game. I guess it's not surprising so much anymore because they've done it 3 games in a row over the Dodgers. But the Rockies would score first as Bryant and Chrome would single. A fielding error by Taylor lets a 2-run score. Grichuk RBI single on McMahon, who reached on the error, be 3-0. Rockies would be able to double that lead as Rogers would walk and Crone would homer. McMahon would be hit by a pitch. Grichuk would walk and Diaz would single in McMahon. It'd be 6-0. But at the top of the fourth, this is where I have to mention that I didn't see this. I read this off the ESPN website for the play-by-play when I was doing this because again we don't get the Colorado or the Los Angeles feed here. But things got interesting as Turner would single, Smith would walk, and Bellinger would single. All of a sudden, the bases are loaded with nobody out. This is when I told Dad that the Rockies might be blowing it because we were paying attention to the game, like the score on the score app, and I was like, the Rockies might be blowing it. He was talking about how the Rockies might take the series from the Dodgers, and they ended up doing that. Chris Toad hit a sac fly, and then after Gavin Lux reaches on an infield single, the bases are now loaded with one out instead of none. And apparently, Chris Bryant made a 3-run error, and this matches up with the box score. Because when I looked at the box score, there was only 1 RBI for the Dodgers. So I don't know how poorly he played it for it to be a 3-run error. I know Coors Field is a little bit big, so maybe he was in like some weird part and you couldn't get to a ball. But nonetheless, 3 runs get on the board for the Dodgers, and all of a sudden it's 6-4. In the bottom of the 4th, Connor Joe is hit. He steals second. It is moved by a ground out, and Rogers hit a sac fly to score him, making it 7-4. And then the Rockies would score 2 more. Richick would reach on another error by the Dodgers. Diaz would homer. The Rockies won a very, very poorly played by both sides, 9-4 game over the Dodgers. There were some good times, some good performances. Elias Diaz 2 for 4, home run, 3 RBIs. CJ Combs 2 for 4, 2 RBIs and a home run. Diaz 3 RBIs, excuse me. Richick was 1 for 3 with an RBI and a walk. 4 runs, 10 hits, 2 errors for the Dodgers. 4 runs, 9 hits, 1 error for the Rockies. But it was a 3-run error, which I feel like that has to be rare. Wow, I didn't even try to rhyme there. I just did. I can tell you're getting tired. We have 4 more games. Marlins Giants. These 2 teams had low scoring games. Last 2 games is in the top of the 2nd. Both Wendell and Anderson would single. Chisholm would hit a sac fly, giving the Marlins a 1-0 lead. And the bottom of the 2nd, Flores would walk. A double by Mauricio Dubon scores Flores. Dubon would then be scored by Luke Williams single. He's on the Giants now. He was a former Philly. In the bottom of the 3rd, Austin Slater would reach on an error. Ruff would double, and then Flores would hit a sac fly, making it 3-1. Big run as Marlins try to rally, as Wendell hits an infield single, Chisholm doubles, Soler walk. Bases loaded. Garrett Cooper is hit, and that scores a run, but they can't score anything after that somehow. And that would be all. The final score would be 3-2. Flores, despite going 0 for 2, I had him as the first start because that sac fly was probably the most important at bat of the ball game. As he was 0 for 2 RBI walk, RBI was sac fly. Dubon was 1 for 3 with the double and RBI. He could probably be first start. Flores, Dubon, interchangeable. And then Stiller was 3 for 4 with a walk. 2 runs, 11 hits, 1 error for the Marlins. 3 runs, 6 hits, no errors for the Giants. Astros Angels. This game looked like it was going to go one way in the first 5 innings, and then the last 4 went another. As Jack Mayfield with a homer on his former team to begin scoring, the Astros before the 5th inning had 13 straight scoreless innings. And for a team that wants to make the World Series, that's not very good. And it wasn't even like I watched both of these games. It wasn't even like they were getting close but didn't score. They had like one time in the last 2 games before the 5th inning. We were like, man, they have a good chance at scoring. That was when the bases were loaded with 1 out. But they couldn't score there. And on Saturday's game, that was just horrible offense. There were 2 hits, and I'm pretty sure like 3 people reached base in total. But in the top of the 5th, the Astros would finally break through. Jose Suarez wasn't really that bad, and it kind of would be frustrating if I was a pitcher to have the loss because he did make a couple of mistakes, and that would be walking Martin Maldonado and Jose Siri. Siri's a young and inexperienced guy. He's not a bad batter, but he is young and inexperienced, so maybe
he strikes out a lot.
Older guy like Suarez could probably power him through. And the Maldonado, I like him a lot as a guy, as a person. I think he's a good leader, but he's not very good anymore. And he would walk them both twice. That was where the aforementioned scoring opportunity was before, but then he walks them both, and Madden takes him out. Bregman is able to get an RBI single to give the Astros a 2-1 lead. At the top of the 8th, Astros young gun Jerry Pena would single 3 for 5. His second 3-hit game of his career in 4 games. I mean, to be fair, he does have no hits in the other 2 games. So I guess for Jeremy Pena, it's going to be either getting 3 hits or none. He would do something that was really, really cool to see. He went from first to third on a single, another single by Alex Bregman. But he would score on a wild pitch, giving an insurance run. That was very important. Alvarez would be intentionally walked, and then McCormick's infield single would score another. The Astros would win 4-1. Bregman was 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs, 2 of the biggest RBIs of the game, so he deserves that. Pena was 3 for 5, so I gave him the second star. He was pretty good. 5 innings, 4 hits, 1 run. He was a third star. 4 runs, 7 hits, no errors for the Astros. 1 run, 7 hits, 1 error for the Angels.
Now, we talked about the Astros lineup, which is generally regarded as like the top 10 lineup in the MLB, but Gurriel has missed the first 4 games on paternity leave. They gave Bregman a day off in the game. They didn't score any runs, and then yesterday they had Altuve off
And Brantley.
And this really hurts their lineup.
Yes, it does.
With Siri, Chaz, and to some extent Pena. He had 6 hits, as you mentioned, but 2 games he went hitless. So when those guys are resting, and they're older guys, well, Brantley is, and Gurriel, but he's not resting. He's on paternity leave. That's going to hurt the Astros lineup. So that's something to think about moving forward.
I wasn't as surprised when Altuve took a rest because he's 1 for 13 so far to start the season. But, I mean, who knows? Julio Rodriguez is 1 for 13 to start the season, so is Jared Kelenic. So basically, Jose Altuve has a chance to be the greatest player ever this year. But that's what Dusty does like to do. He likes to give a slumping player a day off, no matter when it is, just to get his mind right and get him back like, hey, I can play baseball. It's not that I don't know how to play baseball. I'm just getting unlucky. 2 more games, the Padres and the Diamondbacks. This game, well, it was 10-0, but the Diamondbacks made it interesting. Cronenworth would reach on an error in the top of the second. Vort would walk along with Myers. And then Profar would hit a grand slam, making it 4-0. Jorge Alfaro would homer, making it 5-0. Top of the 4th, Kim would triple. Nola would hit a sac fly. It would be 6-0. In the top of the 5th, Cronenworth would reach on an error. And again, Vort would walk. They both go up 90 feet on a fly ball. He apparently tagged up from first going to second, which is rare for you to see. The 2 wild pitches would score them both. Kim would be hit in the top of the 6th. Nola would single, and Machado would double, scoring both. Later, Cronenworth would drive Machado, making it 10-0. The Diamondbacks didn't go away though. In the bottom of the 6th, 10-1. Wow, Christian Walker would hit a solo shot. At the bottom of the 5th, in the bottom of the 9th, Geraldo Perdomo would walk. Back-to-back singles by Ellis and McCarthy would score him. Later, Cooper Hummel, first career home run. Unfortunately, they're down 10-2, and it was the 9th inning with 2 outs. But still a good home run for him. Cooper Hummel, he might be a very solid guy for the Diamondbacks. Profar was 1 for 4 with a home run, 4 RBIs and a walk. He was the first star. I had Hummel be the second star because I feel bad for the Diamondbacks. 1 for 4, 3 RBIs, home run, and a walk. There also weren't really a whole lot of good performances from the Padres. Like, they scored 10 runs, but it was very even. There was nobody who stood out and you're like, okay, that guy performed better than that guy, if that makes sense. Besides Profar, of course. Nola was 2 for 4 at the RBI. 10 runs, 8 hits, no errors for the Padres. 5 runs, 5 hits, 2 errors for the Diamondbacks. The last game. Do you guys like seeing the Yankees and Red Sox on Sunday Night Baseball every week or so? Because I know some people who sure don't. Maybe in September, but I do think that there should be other teams like I know that I can't say every single Sunday night game, but I do know that the NL East gets to play there a lot, like Braves, Mets, Phillies, Braves, Phillies, and those are really the only Sunday night games I can remember, to be honest with you. Sunday Night Baseball isn't bad. I just think it needs to have more teams. I think it should be, I mean, even though I hate this because I'm not a national broadcast guy, but I think every team should be shown off to Sunday Night Baseball at least once or twice a year, just so more fans get to see their team. I think it's fair. Of course, money's more important than being fair. The NBA will tell you that. So of course, they're probably not going to do that. But I think there should be more games than just Yankees, Red Sox. Yankees Red Sox. Another thing to take away from Yankees Red Sox. Yankees Red Sox is still very interesting, like 90% of the time, unless the team was winning like 10-0. But this game was interesting. There's nothing against that, but people just want to see other games. That makes sense. But anyway, the Red Sox would score in the first inning again as Devers would double. No, he would single, excuse me. Bogarts would single, and then Martinez would double, scoring Devers. Dalek would be hit, and then a sac fly by Arroyo would score Bogarts. It's 2-0. Rizzo would walk, Judge would single, leading to an RBI single by Stanton. Kind of leading half 2-1. Stanton couldn't hit a home run for the 7th game in a row against the Red Sox, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at that. But he did get an RBI. In the top of the 3rd, Arroyo would reach on a strikeout on a 3rd strike wild pitch that he swung at and ran for. Now, this is something big. And if this goes different, maybe the Yankees win over the Red Sox. Because he'd move to throw it on a single and a ground out, and then he'd score on a sac fly, making it 3-1. The Yankees tied as counter fell by doubles. Chirino would single. And then to put 2 on, a 2 RBI single by Rizzo ties the game. And then in the 6th, Bobby Dalbec would hit a home run for the lead. Red Sox win 4-3. The reason why I pointed out that 3rd strike was because he reached and then he scored. Who knows what could have happened if the game was still 3-3. Dalbec was the first start. He had the biggest hit of the night, 1 for 2 with a walk, home run, and RBI. Rizzo was the second start. He was 1 for 3 with 2 walks and 2 RBIs. Martinez was 1 for 4 with an RBI. Red Sox had 4 runs, 5 hits, no errors. Yankees had 3 runs, 11 hits, no errors. So you can see that the Yankees probably had a better offense tonight. They just couldn't get the runs across the board. That'll do it for all the recaps. If you liked this video, definitely leave it a like, subscribe. You don't have to do it if you didn't like the video, but if you did, we worked very hard on this. And, I mean, I take a lot of my free time to write down all the notes on all these games.
I can vouch for that.
If anybody ever wants this actually becomes big, I can show my notebook because there's a lot of stuff that goes on in there. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and you can do the outro.
All right. Well, thank you for tuning in. Parker enjoys doing this and hopes you enjoy listening to his Major League Baseball recaps. And we'll be back tomorrow with the games from today. We know the Astros are off, so that means somebody else is off too, at least. Right. But most teams play tonight. Yes. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
There were 12 games tonight. Pirates and Cardinals got postponed, so there's still 11, even though it's a Monday.
Okay, we'll have the recaps of 11 games tomorrow. Be sure to tune in. Thanks.